Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Live with DJP number 19. Here we are. I took a little break, Here, I'm trying to make sure everything's running, but I took a week off, from the show, just kind of into the summer, getting ready for the fall semester, making sure everything was good to go. Had to work a couple extra days because we had a big tournament at the place that I work. But we are back. I'm not entirely sure how often we're going to be doing shows with the upcoming semester because, I want to be doing shows. Everyone wants to. And we have a new software that just got installed here at the radio station. So I should be able to do it remotely if it just so happens that we are no longer on campus and not entirely sure how that's going to go. But I'm really hoping that I can keep doing this show because I love doing it in here, especially in the studio. Got the studio set up. But if I do have to go back, I'm probably just going to go back to the original setup. For those of you who've been watching the show for a little while, you know what I'm talking about. But so far this ain't too bad. School year's been pretty good so far. Been working on a lot of stuff just because it's going to be a long semester of being pretty much everything online. But hopefully everyone else is doing pretty good in their classes so far. I'm trying to get ahead because with all the stuff going on, like I've got to do this, I've got to do my other job, and whatever else, of course, with school. But we're not even going to worry about that. We're going to try and catch up on talking about music because I know that's what you guys are here for. You're not here to hear about all that. But tonight we're going to be talking about one of my favorite artists of all time, and that is Frank Ocean. I've been talking about that all over social media, talking about Frank Ocean because I've really been listening to him since I'd say 2013, 2014, back whenever I started listening to music way back then because I really kind of picked up music, and I've talked about it with my computer background. I don't have my computer up, and I can't remember what all albums are on this background, but it's kind of a top 20 albums of pretty much everything I listened to from when I really started caring about music up until the end of my high school career. So it's my top 20 and the number one in like the top left corner because it's I'm not entirely sure what to call it, but there's four large albums, and then there are four smaller ones in the square the size of the large album. So there's 20 in total on the thing. And the first one is Coldplay's Milo Gelato. And then we have Drake's If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, Frank Ocean's Blonde, and then The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. I don't know why I couldn't think of that off the top of my head, but those are my four albums. And Frank Ocean, like this one, I didn't really do a lot of research on this one like I did with doing the live with DJP episode when I was talking about The Wall. I just kind of listened to this album continuously throughout the past 2 weeks or so. Was looking at old photos because, fall of 2016 was a very interesting time in my life. I was really kind of changing how I did things because it was halfway through my high school career. Because those of you who know me pretty well know that like the first half of my high school career, I wasted my entire like first 2 years. So I kind of had to restart and start over and then really enjoy having a high school career in my junior senior year. And fall 2016 was where it really all started. Because I've talked about it before, how your life doesn't start or like a relationship doesn't start until you can drive a car. And I mean, that's pretty much everyone kind of accepts that. But I was able to drive to school in junior, senior year, and that was just completely different. But fall 2016, like, I've been trying to decide how deep I want to go into my personal life about this because, it was a really good time in my life. It was one of probably my like personal favorite memories like come from that time of my life. I'm not like stuck on these memories or anything like that because I'm still living my life how I am today. But it's fun to reminisce on times like that. And I try not to listen to Frank Ocean's album all the time because if I listen to it all the time, it kind of loses that specialness that it has. Like I was talking about that with Fleetwood Mac's The Chain, November Rain. I've been listening to that one a lot recently, but listening to this album again has kind of brought back some memories, all different kinds of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it because I thought the music was going to be playing on the radio at the time. But whenever I was doing all the work for it earlier, I accidentally scheduled it to play at 9 o'clock. So if anyone wants to tune in to 91.1 around 9 o'clock tonight, you'll hear the following songs by Frank Ocean: Nike's Pink and White, Thinking About You, Chanel, then we'll have a commercial break, Self Control, White Ferrari, White featuring John Mayer, Lost, Forrest Gump, Godspeed, Bad Religion, and Provider. And then that was all I could really find in the system that was clean by him. Because, we have to play clean music on this radio station. Got to be careful with that. And then after that 45-minute period of all the music, I put a couple extra songs in there, just kind of ones that I liked. They fit the time that was necessary. And we have Summer by Brockhampton, 3005 by Childish Gambino, Pick Up the Phone by Travis Scott, and then Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. I don't know why I didn't know the artist off the top of my head, but I like those four songs a lot. And I know I am going to talk about Blonde in a minute, but I do want to talk about these last four because, summer just ended and fall semester's here. It's still hot like summer would be outside here in Auburn, but that I didn't really listen to that one that much this summer. It was a song of the summer for me back in, I'd say, 2018. But I threw it on there just, summer's over. Hopefully someone's listening in the car. They might have that same thought come up in their head. Probably not. But then we have 3005. That's just a really good song, in my opinion. It's one of my original favorites, like one of the original songs I found when I started listening to Childish Gambino, a.k.a. Donald Glover. Pick Up the Phone. That comes from, I call the album Birds. I don't really even know what the entire name of that Travis Scott album is. But that was another one I listened to a lot in fall of 2016 because the year 2016 gets a lot of hype with being one of the best years in modern music, with having that album, Frank Ocean's Blonde, which the 4-year anniversary is actually tomorrow, August 20th, because tonight, the 19th, was the 4th-year anniversary of the visual album, Endless. So that came out 4 years ago today, and then tomorrow is going to be Frank Ocean's Blonde, which I am going to talk about. But just let me finish this up talking about this Travis Scott music, because I listened to that album a lot when I went to Williamsburg in Virginia, and I'm thinking about doing a show about whenever I went there, because that was another kind of really important trip for me, just, getting to see some of the history of, our country, because I had gone on a trip back in 2013 when I was going into 8th grade, and it was the East Coast trip, so we went all across the East Coast of the United States just checking stuff out. But, I was a 13-year-old kid. I didn't care about history of the United States or anything like that. But when I was 17, I just kind of respected it more. I was more open to understanding the history, kind of learning about it. And, a lot of the stuff I heard there was, of course, factual, but, it comes from a somewhat biased side. And I'm not throwing any shade or anything, but I took a college class this past semester, this past spring. It was a history class. And this guy, I'm not going to say anything about his name or where he was from or anything, but he gave history class in the most raw perspective of just seeing it for what it really was. And that really kind of helped me truly enjoy history, because I liked seeing it back when I was in Williamsburg back in that fall. But seeing the real perspective of what was going on in history is what makes it more interesting to me. That's just something I wanted to throw in there. I didn't even know I was going to throw that in there when I started doing this show. But shout out to that professor. I highly doubt he's listening to this, but, I might have to shoot him an email, let him know that I'm mentioning him, because he was really one of my favorite professors that I've had here so far. He ran class a little bit differently than most, but, he did a good job. And I feel like I actually learned something in this college class. All right, let's talk about Blonde. So, summer 2016, I've talked about all my summers before, but summer 2016 was the summer of me kind of waiting for this album, because, I used Spotify from like 2013, 2014 up until the end of summer 2016, because whenever this album came out back in a couple Augusts ago, it wasn't on Spotify, so I decided I'm just going to switch to Apple Music. I still had the 3-month free trial. I don't know if they still do that, but I had that, and I knew I might need it for something. Sure enough, it was for this album, and it was completely worth it. because the first song that I put on this list was Nikes, and that was the first song that I played when I listened to the album. Because most of the time, if I'm gonna listen to a new album, I like to go start to finish, just like I don't end it, beginning to end, whatever. And Nike's the first one that I play, and it starts off with his voice in like a synth, but after he goes from the synth to just his real voice was when I first heard it. I remember where I was. I was in my room. I was like sitting on my bed. I think I had just gotten home from school that afternoon, and I saw it and I was freaking out, and I'm listening to the album because I've been waiting for it. Because the last time he had released an album was at least 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, and that was Channel Orange. And I'm talking about both, mostly Blonde tonight, just because that was the better album for me in like a personal way of, just kind of maturing over that summer 2016, coming into fall, just kind of growing up. But Channel Orange, of course, was the one that I've been listening to since like 2013. Because I put Thinking About You on here. That was also in that first block of 4 songs. Because the first time I heard that was when I was watching Vines. I don't know if anyone remembers Vine. I guarantee they do. But there was a potato flew around my room. Was something making fun of the song, just like mocking the lyrics. But I heard the violins in the song, and I was like, what is this song? So I looked it up back when I was like 13, 14. That became one of my favorite songs back then, listening to it. So I listened to that whole album back when I was so much younger. I was thinking, man, when is the next one going to come out? So I would always look something up, maybe like once every month or 2 months, when's next album going to come out. And then 2016 rolled around and kind of hype started building for that album. And, not much like, I didn't really even worry about the album in like the spring or winter of that year. But once summer rolled around, because that summer 2016 is also where I dove into a lot of classic rock music. And I called tonight's show The Change of Pace because I listened to a lot of classic rock. I listened to a lot of like Lil Uzi Vert that summer as well, summer 2016. And then I was waiting on this album to come out as well. And once it came out, it really there was a change of pace in my life and as a whole when this album came out. Because, I've talked about girls on the show before, but there was a girl in my life at the time, and this was like our album that we listened to. So that's kind of one of the other main reasons why I really like this album is because of having that memory like attached to it. And this is another reason why I, of course, don't listen to it all the time, because I don't want to bring up old thoughts, like old feelings like that. But just listening to the album again and thinking like full circle, like 4 years later, because I think I've talked about how I feel like I'm on like a 4 year cycle of just kind of life going around, just kind of figuring things out for myself. But it was really fun listening to this album over the past week, and just I put some songs on here like Pink and White was just another one of my favorites listening to it. I don't really have too many like attachments memory wise of listening to it like I do with Nikes, but Pink and White is just another one that I really liked. But the Nikes music video, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but Frank Ocean just has a different kind of way of making music. I don't even know what type of genre I would call it, because classic rock is obvious in its genre. It all kind of sounds the same. Rap music doesn't all sound the same. Like with rap music, there's like kind of hip hop style, R&B style, drill style, all different kinds of rap music. But when it comes to Frank Ocean's music, I don't even know what type of genre to call it. It's just art. That's what I would call it. It's like I'm listening to art. And every time I listen to it, because y'all have seen the album before, of course, in the old setup that I had for doing this show with one of my posters on the wall. Because the 2 posters I have on the wall in my room right next to my tapestry is Pink Floyd's Animals and then Frank Ocean's Blonde. Because I have the black and white poster. I got it back in my freshman year of college because Auburn has a poster sale. I believe they're having that sale next week. So, also, I do have a show next week. I'll tell you more about it towards the end of this one. But the university has a poster sale in this building, the Student Center. So I'm really looking forward to maybe getting a new poster to put up in our living room because The living situation's changed just a little bit. I'm still at the same place. So if I go back to doing the show, it's going to be in the same exact place, pretty much the same exact surroundings. As of right now, not entirely sure how things are going to change. We might switch up our living room just a little bit. I'm not even worried about talking about my living room, but hoping to get some more posters from the person who sells those just because I want to decorate some stuff. I might even get one to put in here. I kind of moved the camera around a little bit, and I'm going to have a guest on the show next week. So we're going to be doing live with DJP and friends. That's finally happening. I know I've been talking about it, but I figured for number 20, I think it would be a good idea. So I'll mention who it is towards the end of the show because I know this person could be watching, and I know they're waiting for their shout out. I'm not gonna say who it is until the very end because I'm gonna get back into the music. Think About You already talked about that one. Chanel. Chanel was one that I listened to a lot my senior year of high school. Because let me look it up real quick as to when that one was released. But I listened to Frank Ocean junior, senior year pretty much the whole time. Because, Blonde, of course, one of my favorites. All right, let's see Chanel. 2017. So that would have been spring of my junior year. And I don't remember listening to it much at that point. But I remember listening to it at like spring 2018 as I was graduating high school because, I'm talking about that relationship a second ago with listening to Blonde with this girl. And then as the relationship came to an end, I started listening to Chanel more. So it's just kind of a full circle thing of, Frank Ocean the whole time, listening to it almost the whole time. And then going into that summer 2018, I was like, all right, we got to switch it up a little bit with the music that we were listening to. And I've talked about summer 2018 on this show plenty of times. I don't even think I've ever talked about X dying, and I don't really want to talk about his music or anything right now, but I did like his music. I went through a phase of listening to it post breakup while I was listening to Chanel by Frank Ocean, if that says anything about that. But then all right, let's skip into the next block. Listen to Self Control, White Ferrari, White featuring John Mayer, and Lost. I'm gonna take a quick water check. Water check, water break, whatever you want to call it. This is live with DJP, and we do what we want. I say we because the audience is a part of the experience. That is this show. Self Control, White Ferrari, White featuring John Mayer, and Lost. I'm going to start White featuring John Mayer because this one has multiple versions of it. There is the one on this album. There is the one that's on the Odd Future one. So this song is kind of like a two-parter, and this is only the instrumental, but it's got John Mayer playing the guitar. And I believe I've talked about John Mayer plenty of times on this show. But I really do like John Mayer, and this was one of the reasons why. Because White featuring John Mayer comes from Channel Orange, and this is back when I was 2013, 2014 listening to it. Because the album was released 2012, but I didn't really listen to it back in 2012. If I did, I wasn't really paying attention to it the way that I was the year after that. But this is kind of when I started listening to a little bit of John Mayer as well. Because he's got an album, No Room for Squares, I believe it's called. And the song No Such Thing, that's one of my favorite albums from that. So I'd already liked that song a lot from my past life. I don't even remember how old I was when I found it. And then, I came back to hearing this. I was like, oh, it's got John Mayer in it. Like, I remember hearing about this guy. Started listening to John Mayer. But, I'm still focused on Frank Ocean back then. Listening to Channel Orange all the time. One song I really wish I could have played on the radio, and I don't have a clean version of it downloaded. I couldn't find a way to purchase it anywhere to play it on here. But Pyramids, that's one of my absolute favorite songs ever. I remember my freshman year, I was listening to some podcast. I believe it's like the Dissect podcast, and the guy was talking about this album, Gets to Pyramids. And I remember walking to class, hearing him talk about all just the work that went into making this song, and it shows the true dedication that some artists have when it comes to making music, because the process of putting all of it together takes a lot longer than you'd expect. Like it takes a long time to make sure that you're doing it right. And I have been experimenting with playing music. I don't really write music or anything like that. Like my buddy Nate and we've talked about it plenty of times on here before. He might even be on the show eventually, but we've been playing music, kind of not writing, but playing the same thing because we know what we're trying to play, like what kind of goal we're trying to achieve. So maybe have some potential recordings coming up in the future. I don't know. I want to record my own music to do on this show, have my own intro music recorded. That's going to take a lot of work. I cannot promise a single, like, there's no timeline for that. There's no telling when that's going to be. I've got episode 20 of this show planned out. I don't have 21 planned out. I'm probably not going to take a break, but with this semester, it's getting crazy. I'm not sure what my actual work schedule is going to end up being in the next couple weeks. We're going to have to see, hoping to have an episode 21 without taking another week off, but we'll just have to see. That could be live with DJP. It could be live with DJP and friends. There's no telling. But, we're just going to keep on trucking, talking about the music. And White Ferrari, that's another one I really like from the album. It's about like 4 or 5 minutes long. And I remember listening to it on the very first night of listening to the album because, before I really would dive into listening to it for what the song was, I really would pay attention to the title of the song, the lyrics, the sound, but not less like the meaning. And this one, I don't even know that much about the meaning, but I saw White Ferrari. I like cars. I've always kind of been a bit of a car person, not super into it, like knowing all the engine specs and size of the tires. Engine, I don't know any of that stuff. But you see a song called White Ferrari, it's going to catch your eye. And this is another one that I really like from the album. Self Control is probably my favorite. It's probably tied between Nike's Self Control and Future of Free. Self Control was one I was trying to learn on my guitar in the bullpen right next door earlier, but I kind of got distracted because whenever it comes to playing something, I'll find whatever the key is, and I just kind of figure out what I'm doing by doing that. And I didn't really learn how to play the song. I was just kind of experimenting, having fun with it, taking a break from doing schoolwork earlier because it's been a long day of doing school. And I'm really glad now that I moved up to this 7 o'clock showtime because, a couple weeks ago, whenever I did that last show, it was only about like 20 minutes long. And I apologize for how short that one was. This one's not going to be extremely long. It's probably not going to be too terribly much longer. There's no telling what it's going to be like. But I was trying to figure out how to play that song. Got distracted, couldn't figure it out. I was just working on school stuff. Had to get back to work. But it's good to be able to take a mental break and have the guitar sitting right next to you. Because when I was at home, I could have my guitars with me at my apartment if I wanted to do that. I definitely wouldn't get like any work done there. Because here we've got multiple desks. I've got this studio office almost to kind of get all my work done. Because now that the semester's here, we're supposed to have masks on inside all buildings if you're in like a room by yourself. So, right now, I'm fine. Next week, not sure what it's going to be like. I'm sure if we're 6 feet apart, we're not going to have to wear masks. We're going to have to see about that. But whenever I have my guest on, we'll have to figure it out. Because I might even have to switch up the cameras to talk to someone right there, or someone right there. Not sure what is going to happen with that yet. Because I've got a lot of the content planned out for y'all so you can enjoy the show. But, new things are coming this semester. I'm thinking about doing another show on here as well. But, it just depends on how busy I get with school. Because I am music director here, so I got to do a little bit extra work. Just, keep the place afloat. Make it look good. Make it sound good. And so people can enjoy the sound of Auburn. Like, that's what WEGL is. And, I do this show independently just for fun. Because I like doing it. I like talking about some of my favorite music, and I'm glad I took that week off because, the last show I did, I wasn't like the most confident going into it because it was 9 o'clock that night, and I was just a little bit tired. But, 7 o'clock at night, I'm a little bit more awake. I had a soda before I came here, so I was able to wake up. But getting back into the music, the next 4 songs, Forrest Gump, Godspeed, Bad Religion, and Provider. Provider, I'll go ahead and get that one out of the way. That one doesn't really have any specific significance to going into tonight's show. It was already in our system, so I figured that'd be the legal taste of the show tonight compared to just all of my music. Because, college radio is supposed to be a group of people doing it. And I like doing a lot of stuff independently on here, kind of doing one person shows. But, I had to throw in the group in there. I had to throw the stuff that we already had on. Because I'm not sure who put that song in our system someday, but whoever it was, it's playing on the air tonight. Bad Religion. I don't really even want to talk about religion on the show tonight, just because I'm not at a point of doing the show with enough clout that I can say anything about religion at all on the internet without getting canceled. And I've already given my opinion on what it's like getting canceled and all that. So you know what? We're not even going to worry about it. But that is a really good song. It comes from Channel Orange. If you want to check it out, please do, because it's a great song. But, I get very, very cautious with talking about the word religion on the internet, because some people, it's a red flag. And, I'm not trying to take a risk, because I'm going to have to get a real job here within like the next year or two going into the real world. So you know what? I'm going to play it safe, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Godspeed, because I can talk about this song without talking about religion. Godspeed's another one of my favorites, especially from that fall, because the picture on the show thing tonight, that was also taken in the fall of 2016, from the one from the Facebook and the Instagram. But I have this video saved in my phone of a Snapchat that a friend of mine sent me of this song playing. It's like a video of his dog. So it'll show up in my Snapchat memories like the year ago today, or my photos if I'm ever looking through my camera roll, because I like looking through my camera roll pretty often, because I take a lot of pictures, and I'll see it and I just remember that song. And Godspeed's just a personal favorite of mine on the album. That one, Good Guy, because, the Good Guy on the album is pretty good, but my favorite version of Frank Ocean's Good Guy was he did it in concert. It might have been Coachella. I'm not sure where it is. But if you're curious about it, look it up on YouTube. Just look up Frank Ocean, Good Guy, live. I remember the first time I heard it was in my freshman year. It was like a Friday night, 3 a.m. I was in my residence hall. And you might have Camp Eagle people listening know that I just caught myself without saying, okay, I can say dorm now that I caught myself saying residence hall there. But I was listening to it like 3 a.m. Oh my gosh, this is one of the most moving versions of this song that I'd ever heard. So if you want to check it out, feel free to listen to Good Guy by Frank Ocean on YouTube. You'll know exactly what it is. It's a pretty famous video, so enjoy that. Then we have Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump, this one ties back into listening to that song with that like relationship thing going on, because this song's not on Blonde, but this one's on Channel Orange, and one of the first movies that this girl and I had watched, because you watch movies with a significant other in a relationship. That's just these are things that happen, and this is one of our first movies. And I remember like where we watched it, all that. I remember like the good memories of that. So I heard this song, and that always comes up because I love Forrest Gump. I love Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is an amazing actor. I love the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a long time though. I might have to go watch it later on tonight, just for old time's sake, just for fun, because I've been trying to find movies to watch because there's nothing new coming out. I can't wait to go to the movie theaters. I cannot wait to do that again because I love doing that. And I might even have an entire show someday about talking about movies, because I've been going to the movie theater since I was real young. It was one of my favorite things that I used to always do with my brother and my dad. We would go see all like the old James Bond movies. So, I mean, that's like another reason why I like those. I've been watching a lot of Marvel movies recently, all the old like Avengers, watching those in order. Just I've done that a couple times. Felt like redoing it. Just something for me to watch in my downtime, because I try and pay attention to it, because I like putting the story all together and catching every detail. But I really don't like watching too many new shows on TV unless it's someone I live with or someone I'm friends with. If they watch it, then maybe I'll go watch it on Netflix later that afternoon, just if I enjoyed it and I wanted to check it out. But, it takes a while to really try and find a new show or a new movie on Netflix, because I'd rather watch a show that's not as important compared to a movie. But if the movie's got a really good soundtrack, I'm definitely going to listen to it. And I've talked about movie soundtracks time and time again, and I absolutely love those. I could talk about that, like Hans Zimmer and like Christopher Nolan's collabs, like collaborations of doing music. Could talk about that forever. But that's pretty much all that we have for talking about the songs that I'm playing tonight on the show. And that's not even going to come on until around 9, I believe it is. I can look it up real quick. Hold on. Yeah, so that's not going to come on for a little while longer. But if you want to tune in, feel free to. I'm probably going to go ahead and get out of here. But thanks to everyone who was tuned into the show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed me doing it at a different time. I'm sorry that the show's not going to go on for like 45 minutes. But, busy life, busy semester. I got to get things going for myself. Eventually, I'm going to be able to do shows that could be as long as like they want to be. Because whenever I do this interview next week, that could be a whole new phase of doing the show. I'm still going to call it Live with DJP. But this one, Live with DJP, number 20. Live with DJP and Friends with EJ Safner. I'm just going to call her EJ for now, because I don't know if she'll want to go by that or her real name. She does a blog called Spill. It's kind of like a pop culture thing, does interviews with other artists. So this will be my very first interview, doing it with her next week. Not sure where she will sit. I'm just kind of pointing at different places all around the room. But I am very excited for that. I think she's very excited as well. So I will see you all next week. I apologize for clicking the pen right there. Hopefully that did not pick up too loud on the microphone. But thank you, everyone who tuned in to the show tonight. I will see you all. And where's my mouse at? Well, maybe my mouse died. Maybe I won't even be able to end the show. We'll see about it. Hold on. All right, we're good. Okay, this mouse is really not wanting to cooperate. This is a fantastic ending to tonight's show. We'll see about this. Hold on. I can't believe this is actually happening right now. That the microphone is dying. Not microphone. The mouse is dying to the point where I can't even exit out of here. Maybe I need to get the... Let's experiment real quick. All right. Well, got it taken care of. Thanks, everyone who tuned in. I apologize for the little mishap right there. But War Eagle, and hopefully everyone has a good semester. Thanks for tuning in. See you later. Bye-bye.